Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Last Call. Roadhouse Last Call, the morning show that tells you about the morning, some stuff that happened over the weekend, some other stuff, some suches and whatnots, and additional stuff. This morning, I believe we have the Binda, we have the Stockington. Binda, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Good morning. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Are you getting dressed up?
No. No, my kids have hit that age where they're like going to be trick-or-treating with friends in other neighborhoods.
Are they going to do drugs and drink?
No, I don't think so. It's not that kind of neighborhood, but you never know. You never know.
The one thing you have to worry about being in a pasture like you kind of are is
we're not in a pasture.
They grow right on out of the ground.
Not in a pasture. We're not in a pasture.
Right.
And in fact, they're going to different neighborhoods because our houses are a little, we're not on pastures. Everyone in this neighborhood is like 2 to 3 acres. Nobody has cows. There's no pastures, but the houses are still, spread out a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit. And they go to neighborhoods where, there's a lot of doors to go knock on.
Allowed to have cows in your HOA?
No. The only thing you can have like normal pets, and everyone is allowed to have chickens. Nothing else.
So
no goats, donkeys, nothing like that.
What if it was your support animal?
Yeah, I think it would have to be a one-off approval. And knowing what I know about my HOA, that they would figure out a way to try to say that you're faking the need for support, therefore you do not need a support animal. However, they would let your neighbor get one.
This is important to know, to not move to your neighborhood.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we did go down to that Cordillera this weekend, which was freaking phenomenal. If you're ever around that area and you have a chance to go play that golf course and you like to play golf, it is awesome.
I played it. I enjoyed it. And it swallowed a lot of my golf balls.
It does do that. They do have the prettiest hole in Texas, voted year after year as the prettiest hole in Texas, and it's pretty cool. It's got a waterfall. I'm sure you remember this hole. It's a par 3 that goes like over this.
Yeah, and
mess of shit. It looks like about the most intimidating hole you know. It really isn't. It's not a hard hole, but it looks intimidating as hell.
I remember the green being very undulated.
It is.
Like this, even fair. It's like putt-putt golf, the green was.
Yeah.
What I remember. Yeah, no, I do remember.
We did see George Strait's house that was pointed out to us. And we were like, oh, look, there it is. There's this house. It's not like, it is at the top of a hill, on the top of a hill. It's not as much property as what, you were thinking. But apparently he plays golf there quite often.
Oh, well,
so that's cool. Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Go ahead and get in a foursome with George. He can tell you about the good old days.
Well, I'd just be like, let's just sing a song. I'm a little stressed. Just sing a song.
He would hate your ass.
He would. Much, yeah, I'm sure.
Sing me a song, George.
Yeah.
See a basketball player. Shoot me a hoop, MJ.
Right.
Like, okay. All right. Yeah. No. That's why these people don't leave the house.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, man. So we have some interesting stuff. I was very pleased to wake up this morning and see GME doing weird shit. That was like, oh, cool. I'm glad I bought that.
Oh, I haven't even looked at GME this morning.
And I'm so glad I'm going to sell that as soon as the market opens.
Oh, look at that.
Right. Look at that, right?
And AMC. Yeah.
In other news, Noto bought more SoFi day before ER. That's interesting. I think he brought on another 100,000 shares just for shits and giggles. thought that was a little bit interesting. Globally, the news is just kind of like same old, same old. Inflation's still busting ass in Europe. We get an absolute fuck ton of data this weekend, not this weekend, but this week in advance of FOMC. If you look total, he posted that up there, kind of breaking down all the data. We do have data 15 minutes after open this morning. When we start getting in this environment, they can use anything as a reason to pop or drop. This little thing that comes out 15 minutes after open, I think could be somewhat important. It is PMI, Chicago PMI. And then I believe we have Dallas Fed activity later on in the morning. So there are some speed bumps out there, which will be pretty interesting to kind of navigate through and around. Overall flow has been, I would say, bullish, leaning on the bull side. However, when we start walking into, pivotal moments in time like we are this week with the Fed rate decision, we kind of, anything can happen at these levels, like absolutely anything. And not only anything can happen, but they all can happen. We can dip, we can rip, we can rip, we can dip, we can rip and dip and dip and dip and rip and rip and rip. That's what we can do. And that's how we have to look at it in our positioning. So my plan is basically going to be to take some things off that I put on going in to be, I don't want to say cash heavy, but just have more firepower and not have as much risk on the table over the next 2 days going into the Fed meeting. I will let the flow kind of tell me a little bit what I need to know about all that. This little, drip coming into open is pretty healthy overall, considering when you pull up the ES and you look at it on a 1 hour, look at it on the 5 hour, it is straight vertical. So this move down in consolidation above, let's say the lows from overnight are very, very healthy overall, at least the way I'm looking at it. Also, if I'm looking at it at the same time, you have the VIX that's up. It's up kind of nicely. But you do have UVXY who's unable to get anything really moving here. It is operating underneath all of its EMAs currently. So that's another piece of the puzzle over there. That 10 level on Friday was a level that it did not want to let go of. So I'm going to have my eyes peeled on that. Also, the other piece of it, we know the Stockington, we know him well. We also know that if we're being objective overall, we can look at the ES and be like, oh, okay, so that could be a little bull flag forming out. That could be a little falling wedge forming out since highs Friday to the lows overnight. If we're looking at the dollar, however, dollar's been in this little rising wedge basically all night and into the morning. It's been rising, looking quite bear flag-ish. It's spiking right now as the closer we get into open. This area on the dollar, this 1150 is 11150. I kind of want to say is I don't want to say make or break, but it's an important level for it to reject. If it were to reject there, I think that we could definitely play back down into that 10950 level, getting that rejection there. So that could do a lot of different things for equities. Overall, I don't know that we can be too disappointed. If you told me going to the Fed meeting, we'd be sitting here dicking around, 390 on SPY, I'd be like, well, that's dope. I'm kind of into that. That's cool. So overall, I don't know that the environment is a bad environment. I don't know that it's a negative environment. And we also have, what do they call it? The midterms next week. So again, kind of the odds of getting like some type of a 1,000-point down headline going into midterms next week, I think the odds are fairly low. If I were to place odds on something like this, I would say low odds of having to complete an utter meltdown going into this. Brazil got a new president, Bender.
Okay.
Did you see that?
No.
A new one. The fucking Bolsonaro, whatever he's called over there, he got removed. He was one of those, strongmen, tough guy type guys. He's out, OUT out, and they're bringing in a libtard. So let's see how that works out. So you go from one extreme to the other, kind of like, here. You go from one extreme to another. So there we go. Now, there was some conversation as far as that market dumping overnight. It did dump on the release, but it rallied back pretty well. So I don't know. In some ways, I want to kind of take a flyer on that Brazilian ETF going out several weeks just to see what. Look at fucking GME, 3150. Giddy the fuck up.
Needs to go to like 60 today.
Is it?
No, I don't know. No, I do not know.
I would not be upset.
Yeah.
if it did. I would not be upset at all. That's basically what I have been looking at everything. It seems like we're in a healthy little position if we can hold these levels. The one level that I'm looking at, I want to stay above 386 on SPY. That's kind of where I want to stay above. That's if we lose 386, it's like I think things get a little bit more messier than we think. But I do not expect in any capacity any type of major fluctuation in where we're sitting right now in advance of the Fed meeting. I don't anticipate that without some type of, just butt-fuck headline. Not seeing it within the news cycle, not seeing it within the flow. And even this morning, this little pullback is like, this is really nice to be able to rip. So let's see what we get. All right, Bender, you tell me what you see.
Sure. I was just putting a couple levels on the chart here that I want to share. We are, let me pull up, make sure, sometimes I put these, I get all these typed out and then we've made some move and I'm like, shit, now I got to redo them. Nope, we're still right here.
Really pulling the Stockington, the dog ate my homework?
No, we're good. No.
Okay.
We're 38.89 right now. So the levels I have, above 38.97 is the 10 MA, 39.01 is the 20 MA, both on the 60-minute. So obviously, 3,900 being that round hole number may provide a little resistance as well, and then 39.25 is that previous area of support and resistance that we called out last week. I think last week we made it to like what was it, 39.23, 39.25, right in there. So. That's going to be key. If we can take out that 39.25 from last week, then I think that sets up a move to go test 39.50 and then 39.78 previous resistance. So that's kind of what I got above. As far as levels below, 38.65 is the 5 MA on the daily. Below that, 38.51 is the 50 MA on the 60-minute, and 38.45 is the 50 MA on the daily. So that 45 to 51 area, I think on a pullback, I think you'll have some buyers step in unless, like you said, it's some sort of just whack job headline, which I'm in agreement with you that, I think chances are reasonably low that we get one of those. Obviously, anything can happen. And, if we get a run-of-the-mill sort of, pullback or we drift down, given that we have all this data coming, that's kind of the area that I would be watching very closely, 38.45 to 38.51, right in there. I would expect some buyers to step in that zone. If they don't, then I would say there's a pretty good chance we go down and test 38.15. We've got a kind of a volume shelf, right there around 38.40 or so. And if the bulls give that up, then there's kind of a hole there, down to 38.10 or so. So under 45, then I would expect we go test that. Would probably go test like 38.15. Last thing, I guess to point out here is, this does look like, we're kind of in this bull pennant right now. looking at a 2-hour chart on the ES, and we are just above the midpoint of the parallel channel, the up channel that we've been in since October 13th. So it's kind of a near-term channel, right? Just the last couple weeks here. And I'll post this chart, but we are right at the midpoint there. As far as the longer-term trend and the longer-term channel goes, we're well above the midpoint of the longer-term down channel, that longer-term down parallel channel. And we broke through trendline resistance that comes from the lows, the COVID lows to the June lows. So if you draw a trend line there, there was some resistance in there that we rejected off of. We've popped above. We're now above that. That's kind of the longer term picture. But on the 2-hour there, the parallel channel from October 13th or so, we are just above the midpoint. So we'll see if that holds. That's what I got.
Very nice. The other thing, SQQQ had a couple of dark pools this morning. That area around 49.50 to 49, somewhere in there, could result in some pretty decent support for that area. And you kind of like figure out, like, in looking at things, to be honest in what you're saying, kind of looking at the positive plane ETFs and then the negative plane ETFs, and kind of get an idea. That I'm going to be a little bit weary if we don't snap, like, with volume in that 49.70 or 49.50 area on SQQQ. It'll be there's just certain things that you look at and be like, well, I can see how they would sell it to there and then rip it and then create a clusterfuck elsewhere. But there's a difference between chop and things just moving around violently in a small range, and the market's completely dumping out, which, again, I don't believe that that's a part of the scenario this week in advance of Fed. I just don't know that I necessarily see it. Do we have any big ERs after hours, anything like that, or are we clear until Fed mania?
I don't know. I haven't seen if anybody's posted
I didn't do a good job of looking at that this morning.
I got the list
but I
here.
will.
I'll drop it in the
Stonky's got it.
Hi, Stockington. What you got for us, buddy?
Hello, there's the list. Tomorrow we got AMD. That could be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm back. And Tahoe. Quick lesson on Tahoe that I learned. They have a new thing where you go on the internet and tell them you want a ride somewhere, and a van that's run by Tahoe comes and picks you up. So to get to the casino, we're all like, wow, this is amazing. Thank you for picking us up. And then 6 hours later, after drinking and gambling and listening to music, like, okay, we're ready to go home, but there's no more vans. And there's obviously no Ubers, because who wants to compete with a free van that picks you up at your house? So we go in the casino and they're like, okay, here's the list of cab companies. And nobody picks up the phone at the cab companies. And we're like, okay, now what? So they say, well, if you go to the Divey Little Casino across the street, you can ask for Gary. So go and ask for Gary. And they say, oh, we're sorry, Gary's having car trouble.
Did you have to walk?
We walked.
I've been there and done that in Tahoe before. Not quite the same series of events, but I have had to walk home from the casino or walk back to the hotel that was not right in the downtown area. It was about a 3-mile walk.
Yep,
yeah.
That was us.
Good times. Good times. How was the weather?
It was nice. Luckily, it was only like 30 degrees when we walked home, and not like 10 and snowing. So
yeah.
that was good.
What? Where were you guys partying at?
I was in the north side, so we were at the Crystal Bay Casino, CBC,
Okay.
aka the Community Blackout Center.
Yeah. Nice.
It was good.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was fun. So back and let's see. So we got some stuffs. We have Netflix on the list. There was a dark pool from Thursday that was at 296.94. Kind of worked as after hours and pre-market resistance. And then to the downside, I've got this line that's basically Friday where it kept bouncing low, 293.3 to potentially take Netflix short. Let's see, NVIDIA. I had a fib up here at 138.95 where it rejected after hours Friday, and then I'll be looking at 136.50 to potentially take NVIDIA short. Tesla had a small dark pool at right around 228, which also worked as market resistance. And then there was a couple below that came in last week. 226 flat is 203 million. Then 225 flat is 96. There was some notable dark pools end of last week. Apple 55.88. I also am taking some other members' word for it that one of the bigger Apple dark pools of all time is over there at 153.49. So check me on that. If you disagree, feel free to post. SPY.
Just real quick on Apple. It seems like every headline this morning regarding Apple was negative. Whatever that's worth, from manufacturing issues to lockdowns in China to, damn near every single headline this morning was like, them trying to poke Apple in the eye, or whatever that's worth.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just taking someone else's word for it on this 153.49 line, but yeah, last week was up there at 155.88. That's interesting though in the headlines. Yeah, so that's Apple. SPY was the line 389.02 was from end of last week. Looks like a good one. And then below had a big one at 384.83. That's all I got.
That's all he's got. All right. Got anything else, Bender?
No. Nope.
Anybody in the
Nothing for
room
me.
have anything else?
I think just keeping, in mind that that between now and FOMC we could get, there'd still be volatility, there could still be moves, but just like we're not expecting some crazy headline, to give us a major drop. I'm not sure that we want like massive rally into FOMC.
So I want to go back to like March-ish, and I was looking, it's like, because the data wasn't stacking up well. It was kind of hokey going into, I think, that March meeting. And I could be wrong. Could have been April. Could have been, I can't remember exactly what it was. And I kept on waiting. We had rallied pretty good, and I kept on waiting for, okay, we need to risk off going to this. We need to risk off. We need to risk. No point did the market risk off. It was nothing but risk on all the way up into, and that's when we made that power move up to 4,300. I don't remember what the date was in through there or when that was, but I remember that meeting very, very vividly going into it, because none of the flow, none of the price action was risk off in any capacity. Just risk on, risk on, risk on. And I was like, oh my God, these guys are going to get pummeled. They didn't get pummeled. We fucking went absolutely berserk ape shit to the upside. So it's like it is almost impossible to front run something like this. Flow does a really good job. Again, flow is on balance, I would say more bullish than bearish than it's been in a while. But that can change.
Yeah, and it's not saying they won't, right? I'm just saying that I'd be a lot more comfortable going into it if we didn't rally our asses off just to get something that wasn't as good as what we were hoping for, and then just give it all back. Now, obviously, as we have seen, they're going to do whatever they want to do with it. Market's going to do what the market wants to do, and
Did you see? Go ahead.
it's really just almost a note to self, right? Like, I'll play what I see, but I'm also going to be planning, regardless of what I've done and what I'm in and that sort of thing, lightening up,
Kind of like in advance of like a weather report or something like that. It's like it's blue skies right now, but they're saying in the next couple of days you can get like a massive storm going through.
Right. And it could
Sometimes
just
that
pass.
And it could just pass.
Right.
It could be nothing.
Yeah.
But that's the forecast does say that there is going to be some fucking balls ass volatility come. What is it? 2 p.m. on Eastern on Wednesday, and we're going to get some candles.
Yeah.
That's what the forecast says. Which way they go, we don't know. Where we're going to be going into it, we don't know again.
Yep.
What we do know is Flo does a good job of telling us what's up. If there was anything that I could be, it's like, so Hells, what are you looking for specifically on Flo today? I'm looking at things like TNA. I'm looking at things like SQQQ. I know that they have been selling VIX-related products for the past several days, past several sessions. So are they going to buy them back going into this meeting, or are they going to continue to sell them off? It's like, so these are some of the things that it's like, what's going on? What are they doing with semis? What's the flow around SMH? What's going on there? What are they buying as far as Apple now that it's reported and out of the way? Are we going back buying puts into the 140s, or are we buying calls into the 160s, 170s, 180s out to the new year? What are we doing and how are we positioned? And I think that's going to help overall, because I can assure you, if they're buying Apple 145 and 147.50s and some 128s out to January, that's not a good look. That's not, are they selling those 180, 185 calls that they were stacking for a little while? Are those coming back up? Some of the large bit side puts, are they buying them back going into this meeting? It's like, these are the things that we have to have our eyes peeled to. And for me, that's going to be my signal to whether or not I need to take things off. And for me, it's okay to take things off, because off the bottom, I've done very well. I can take things off now. And it's like, if we get a dip, cool. If not, and here's the psychology of it, at least from how I'm walking into this. I got good runs out of Tesla off of that 200-ish low. I got a hell of a run off of Adobe. I got a hell of a run off of the SoFi. It's like, I can take things off, and even if the market doesn't come back and I can buy them back lower, there are so many other tickers out there that I have not touched that are still up against 3, 4, 5-year lows that have the ability to make a strong move. So it's like, there's not an all is lost type moment if you decide to move off. Maybe you just need to move on to a different trick. And that's okay. On a different trick. It's okay. It's okay. But at the end of the day, if you have your monies, you have the ability to play whatever fucking game you want to play. If you're constantly playing catch up, or man, I wish I would have sold here, sell it again when it gets there, it's like you're not putting yourself in the best position for success.
Now you're unable to make any moves or capitalize on anything. So there is one more thing, and we don't normally talk about crypto a whole lot, right? But I do want to share a chart on Ethereum, and Bitcoin may be similar, but this is a channel that and I've kind of been posting this in a few other places, but I think it's relevant. Here's this channel on, so Ethereum is at trendline resistance. So this is, something that I will be keeping an eye on today, to see if it's going to go ahead and plow through that trendline resistance, or, if we're going to get a pullback on it, maybe go back down and test that, 1400 or so. But just something to keep an eye on.
Well, no, but I think that's really, really critical what you're looking at here. And if you see some shakedown going on, please scream it out, because I've said it once, I've said it a billion times. There is no more risk on and risk off in the markets than the coins.
Yeah.
There
Well, and
is
they're
no
they're
greater
moving.
risk on, risk off.
They're moving now in a way that feels more organic, I guess, or it's not just we're at least not currently in the scenario where the entire market is dumping and crypto is just flying.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen that in a while, so I think it's
I think
led
it's
actually, and
absolutely,
so
without question. Without question, it has. It's like there's so many different theories and thoughts. It's like how, at least with Bitcoin, how they were unable to really crack it under that 1800. So many theories behind that. It's like, were they accumulating? Were they this? Is it that? Is it what was going on those levels that they were unable to crack it? It's like, my overall opinion, if I were to give it, it's like the institutions don't control it below 1800.
yeah.
They have no control. That is about as much as they can possibly do, because they, again, my opinion, if they could have sent it down to fill that gap at around 10,000, 12,000, somewhere there, there's a pretty massive gap sitting down there. If they could have, they would have. I don't think in any capacity they would have had something with zero fundamentals outperforming the market for the last 5-6 months. Just don't see it. Anyways,
Yep.
those are my opinions. Those are my 2 cents, and some 4s and some 6 cents to go along with the 2 cents. Market opens in 7 to 8 minutes. 7 to 8 minutes. Market opens. Bender, you got anything else for the people?
I think that covers it.
All right, man. I got to bail out hour and a half, 2 hours before market close. Got suches and whatnots. So yeah, that's what I can say about all that there.
Sounds good. Yeah, given that it's Halloween, I don't know that I'll be here the entire day, but I will be here the majority of it, if not the whole day. But we'll see you in a few minutes, and hopefully Stonkington's back from his dog walking to holler out the flow. Oh, you're already back. Does your dog not walk very far?
These pre-market walks turn into just like, how long does it take them
To go to the bathroom?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. All right. I'm going to go get some coffee. I'll see you guys in just a few.